I don't know if you guys notice this or not, but we're kind of been on a kick lately. And what I mean by that is we're constantly talking about cars that I never bought, but I keep ending up with. So, keeping that going, here's your Monday morning memory from Pugliese Speed Shop. So, the thing about this car, not only is it in one of these books, it should be in both. And that is my 1984 Pontiac Grand Prix. There she is on the trailer right after we got her down to Carolina. If you notice, there's a 64 Le Mans and the 46 Plymouth right there next to it. It was a good looking car, man. The rally wheels on it and everything. Give her the old page turn here. That's not it. She's stuck. We'll get there. And there's the Le Mans again, kind of in the corner. That's out of the property right after the house was built. This is what the interior looked like when we got it. We kind of had a monkey doing some work on it. And, well, let's sit down and talk about that. Now, I know I mentioned before that my father was a car salesman. For a lot of years, he was damn good. He's the one that kind of got me with that neon, if you remember. But no, let's just say when something was traded to that dealership, nobody was safe, all right? And that's what happened. This car got traded to his dealership. They gave the guy $100 for it. It ran and drove great. It had the 305 in it. And I don't know if it had the TH200 or if it had the 200R4 or 4R, I think that was. Either way, because we could never get into that many gears. And we'll talk about that here in a minute. But he bought this car for one reason, and what's well, actually 5 reasons, I guess. Because, and this is what's funny, when you start messing with cars long enough, guys, everything, it just comes full circle. You remember I gave him that 35 Pontiac? Well, he bought this because he wanted the wheels and the seats out of it. So I guess that's 6 items altogether. But that's all he wanted his car for. So $100, he's like, yeah, all right, sure. It had nice bucket seats in it, and it had those Pontiac rallies. He's like, yeah, that would look good on this car. It's all Pontiac. So the problem was, he got it home, the wheels didn't fit, and the seats didn't fit. So he's like, it sat there. He's like, I'll get to it when I get to it. Sat in the driveway. Apparently, why the interior was tore apart like that, it had an alarm in it. And I guess the battery was dying from sitting. The alarm started going off. That's primitive alarms. You know, it was probably put in sometime in the 90s or something. Some aftermarket stuff. And my mom is driving her crazy. She's telling my brother, go outside, get that, shut it off. So when he should have just disconnected the battery, he started ripping wires out of there. And well, hopefully his electrical skills have improved, but I might have a picture that was sent to me that might prove otherwise. Don't worry about it. I won't show the picture, Joe. You're good. But so after a little while sitting there, didn't have no tags on it, the town started getting on my old man, telling him, hey, you gotta get out of here. So I had 8 acres down there in Carolina. We already moved into the house. Oh no, we were about to move into the house. That's right, because this, look at the picture, refresh my memory. We were still in the rental when I first got. That's why I just stayed on the trailer until we got the property. But he's like, hey, you want this thing? And I was like, yeah. I was thinking. Now there was a dirt track down there that Ambrose that I mentioned in the last video he owned, and we used to go there all the time. It was awesome. I was like, I want to run it in a bomber class. Yeah, I'll take it, sure. And that was my whole idea. Well, we towed it down there. It's a G-body, guys. You know, I started falling in love already. And but I didn't do anything with it. I stuck it in the backfield, and we'll do something next season when I get to it. Well, I was on sea duty in the Navy, so we're gone all the time. We're deploying. We're going to Fallon. We're going to the boat. We're going back to Fallon. We're going to the boat. And it kind of sat. Then we started having some problems with the Dakota, and then we got rid of the Explorer. So, well, it's sitting back there. I need a car to drive. So I pulled it out of the backfield. I didn't want to buy a new vehicle for myself when I knew I was leaving unemployment. So I yanked that out of the backfield. I'll get it running. That's when I saw the wires. And Joe told me what he did. So basically I just took the alarm out, bypassed that because it wasn't needed. Nobody's trying to steal an 84 Grand Prix. Actually, at that time they might have because it was real popular. But we'll talk about that in a minute. But I got it running, and it wouldn't move. I dumped some trans fluid in it. Boom, we got a driver, guys. So I cleaned it up. It looked pretty decent. It had a sweet tape deck in it that I had every Motley Crue album in. It was great. And I would drive that car from my house. I'd pick up Chip and Brandon along the way, and we'd go. And the three of us would rotate cars. We'd carpool up to work. It was about 50 to 60 miles, depending on what way we went and who I picked up and whatnot. This thing was awesome. It got 20-something miles to the gallon. If you could find, I want to say it was third. It might have been fourth. I forget. But let's just say the trans was not great. I would drive you had to move your foot and find a little sweet spot. And it shifted into, I think it was third. I don't think it had the 4-speed in it. But it was clean. It was everything on the body looked good. The interior. The guy had a dog that sat on the front paws, sat there and tore that seat up. So that was a little messed up. So my dad probably should have wanted the seats anyways. And then the driver's seat had a spring sticking out of it. Every pair of jeans I had when I owned that car had a hole for me getting out of that car. But it was so comfortable. The back seat looked like nobody ever sat in it. The headliner was gorgeous. It had that blue interior, real popular in the 80s. And I just loved it, man. I really did. I love driving that car. So we ended up, we got Megan a truck. We'll talk about that later again, too. There's a lot of stuff, guys, we're setting you up for later, but you'll see. So I drove the hell out of this thing. And anytime I did need the truck and she had to take that car to work, she hated it. And the reason was mainly they were super popular in North Carolina at the time. Any G-body, any of the big bodies and stuff, they were, jacking them up on the 26s or whatever the donk thing was going on. And she had to go through the not so great neighborhood on the way to go to work. And a lot of these cars were running around over there and everybody wanted one. So the guys on the street corner would be yelling at her like, "Yo, honey, why don't you sell me that whip?" Right? She didn't appreciate it. But she would come home upset about it. But, see, that's what she said. I was in Fallon for a month, right? Out there in Nevada, car sat there. I filled the car up on my way home. The gas gauge didn't work. You have to know that to understand the rest of the story. So her truck was there. She decided to drive my car for whatever reason, but never told me. And she hated it. So I was like, I didn't even think about it. I come home, knew I filled it up right before I left. I drive to work. Okay, cool. I get to work. Well, no, I'm sorry. I don't get to work because it dies about maybe a half a mile from the hangar. Me and Chipper in the car. I'm like, oh, man. I get over to the side. And I was like, okay, well, I knew it had gas. I knew it did. So I said, all right. Because fuel pump went. I borrowed my buddy Dan's Jeep. I get a fuel pump thrown in this thing. And it ain't got no gas. I was like, well, still not getting gas. I said, you got to be kidding me, man. So I ended up texting Megan. I don't think we really texted back then, 05. That wasn't a big thing. I think I called her. And I was like, yeah, a fuel pump went out or whatever. Did I change the fuel pump? I think I did because I was pretty upset about this. And she's like, oh, really? That's weird. It ran good the whole time we were gone. What? She's like, yeah, the gas prices got a little high and she had a lifted 4-wheel drive truck. So she drove the Grand Prix. And I put gas in it. She's like, it's really good gas. I said, the gas gauge don't work. So we put gas in it. Car was fine. Okay, cool. So then I end up, the the starter was kind of going out. It was getting rougher and rougher to start. I remember the gas station. I was at the gas station on base, and I'm wailing on this thing to get it to go, and it finally catches and goes. And that was the last time the thing started on that one. I got it home. Actually, I stopped on the way home, left it running in the parking lot, bought a starter, got home, gravel driveway, by the way, because the house was just built and it was the whole thing. This starter, I literally, as I took the bolts out of the mount bolt, it fell apart. It came out in pieces. I never seen anything like it. Put the new starter in. It was great. I drove it for for years. Probably about 2 years. I was driving it again. I started missing. So I start pulling plugs, pulling wires. I find a wire. I had some spare wires. I replaced one spark plug wire. The mist went away. I did only what was needed on this car, and it would not let me down. It was unreal, right? So I started falling in love with it. I was like, I don't want to get rid of this thing. And I said, you know what? I'm gonna fix this thing up. I'm gonna fix the trans. I'm gonna do this. I had all these ideas. My buddy Paul Gray had a 72 GMC short bed, yeah. And he had a really well built 350. Had a dual quad intake on it. I want to say it had turbo 350, maybe a 400 or something. But it was a nice truck. Well, he was going big block with it, and he ended up doing all this stuff. And this thing was actually on an episode of Trucks with Stacey David, so that was pretty cool. But he's like, yeah, man. I just forget what I was going to pay for this motor and trans, but it was like next to nothing because he bought the truck for the truck. He didn't care about that. He knew what he wanted to do when he bought the truck. So I was all ready to buy this thing coming off deployment. I was like so excited, guys. All I talked about leading up to the deployment. And then I ended up getting underneath this car. I forget what's going on with it. And I get under it, and I realized the back end of it was a Jersey car. And I also figured out why they gave the guy $100. How I never noticed it before. I think I just didn't care. But now that I started to care, I'm looking around, and that back frame horn, done, just gone. It's just a shell of a horn. It was bad. So I was like, oh, man. I started looking at it, the back end there. He drove this thing a lot in Jersey in the winter. There's a good amount of rust, and I started thinking this probably is not the car to hold on to. And to put that drivetrain in, you got that G-body shuffle to begin with. So now you have a rusted frame back there. And I was like, oh, man, these things are pretty popular. I'm not going to lie to anybody. I'll tell them what's going on, but, whatever. Megan hated the car, and, we'll just get something else when you get back. And I said, okay, that's what I'll do. And I sold my daily driver, guys. The car I got for free that took me everywhere I wanted to go. It owed me nothing. And we stuck it at Brandon's house, where he lived on the main road. Megan put it on the corner of his place. It was sold in hours. And I think she got like $2,000 for that thing or something. Because, it was clean. It was, and everybody saw it around. I drove the thing everywhere, Small town. So, yeah, it was known, but it was a good car. It really was. And then the guy who bought it, he lived between me and Brandon. There was another little town, and he stayed there. And I saw it next to his house for years, just sitting there. Weeds growing over it all. I wanted to go buy it back. And then I thought, it was rusted then. It's been sitting there. North Carolina is not, right on the water. It's not the best for that kind of stuff. So we left it, and I don't know whatever happened. It probably sat there until it didn't, and it's probably gone. Which sucks because, man, it was a cool car. And every time I think about it, I talk about it with Kevin all the time. He had a Grand Prix, both G-body guys. And it's one of the reasons. Super excited to have Chippy's car down there shop because it almost has it's the same color interior. And actually, it was originally the same color outside, too. The Oldsmobile version, if that's how you want to look at it. And what's funny is the Grand Prix, they don't get a lot of love. Everybody loves the Monte Carlos. Everybody loves the Grand Nationals and even like the 442s. But, man, the Grand Prix, they're just like, eh. And I'm a Pontiac guy. So it's kind of good for me. It keeps the prices down a little bit. Don't send on to Megan. There might be one on Facebook that is the same color as mine. And I think that guy's going to be getting a phone call because keep going back to it. And after making this video, we'll see how it goes. Thanks for watching, guys.